Greetings, everybody. We have gathered around the table again today to bring you another episode. And just like to announce also that wonderful, prolific YouTuber out there, Nick Shabazz, is hosting a great little competition for small, little, up-and-coming knife and gear review channels, and we were lucky enough to get onto the list.
It's a good thing someone remembered to talk about that before recording.
That's a good point.
As soon as he started mentioning it, I'm like,
Oh, yeah,
my God!
Right, that thing that's happening, that's all exciting.
It is exciting, yeah. So if you guys want to go to Nick Shabazz's channel, he's got a video that says voting has begun. Go to that video, go into the comment section or the
We'll have a link for them somewhere.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can fill out a form and rate the Pokey channel. Glowing
That's not our
review.
name at all.
No, that's not.
The Pokey Factor, the Pokey channel, whatever. I don't know. I'm going to stop talking now.
That might be a good idea.
We might make it a little bit easier by just having a direct link in our description.
Yes.
Just so fewer clicks.
I've tried. It's a little trickier than...
Oh, I'll make him do it.
On YouTube, you can do it pretty easily.
We'll see what happens.
Okay.
Anyway,
Yeah.
please
But
vote for
anyways.
us if you like our stuff.
Yep, and besides us, also check out all the other channels out there, vote from them as well, because not only is this helping us out as our channel and us personally, but it helps out all the other channels and the rest of the knife community and helps us all grow.
Yeah, exactly. 100%.
The entire community is going to grow from this. And honestly, even myself, I've watched videos that guys weren't even on my radar. And I'm like, you guys have more intelligent things to say with 300 or 400 viewers than honestly some of the guys that have over the 5,000 that aren't even eligible for this contest.
Yeah.
And not to slog on any of those guys, because honestly the community is great overall. But personal opinions, things that people point out that I think are a little redundant. Some of the small guys are really underestimated for the good valid points that no one else brings up. So it's worth watching all 50 videos and ranking them all fairly.
Indeed.
Ourselves included.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's a valid point.
Hey, your thing was done.
Indeed.
On to that note, pocket drops.
Let's go, Paul.
I was, 2 weeks ago? Let's go, Joe.
No, Joe's last.
Joe's
All right,
last
that
this
is
week.
Joe is last. Yeah. Where is my knife?
And that was last week. So Nigel would have been the fair choice, but you get plugged under
Yep.
the...
Benchmade
Ta-da.
fact.
It's a
Turner.
fact.
It's a great knife.
Yep.
It's a great knife.
That is a fact. It is a fantastic little knife.
For something that spear point still has a decent cutting performance.
Yeah.
And for spear point knives that have good cutting performances, that's few and far between. So,
Especially something this narrow.
yeah,
Yes.
credit where credit's due.
Mm-hmm.
Fact's an awesome knife. For
I
sure.
love this little knife.
Well designed.
Yep.
We're on the Benchmade train, so we're going to break up what I'm carrying. It's the Benchmade Valet, one of the most underrated knives in the Benchmade catalog, in my opinion. M390 gray, G10, light enough to carry every day. Doesn't matter whether it's blue jeans or dress pants. More people should check it out.
Definitely a very gentlemanly little option.
Capable.
Yeah.
Lots of variations: special edition, limited edition, gold edition. So grab a Valet.
They're nice.
You'll be happy you did.
Yep. And I am carrying my Refure Noble with the chaparral scales.
Because reasons.
It's one of my favorites.
If
It's
we
pretty.
had a flashlight, you should shine it, because the Refure Noble is
just get it
one
up
to
to the
behold.
camera.
It really is. Yeah, no,
It's cool.
It's worth checking out.
Yep.
That mesh really dances in the light.
If you're at one of your local dealers, check one out in person and maybe ask to see two or three, because one might grab you in a way that the one on the shelf doesn't. I don't think it's fair. You really need
they're
to see.
all very individual and very unique for sure.
Last but not least,
Joseph.
For me today, it's the much anticipated Spyderco Smock. This might be my new favorite knife. Like, period.
Understandably. Like, this is very, very high on my radar. One of my favorite new knives of this year.
There's certainly a lot of hype behind this knife. I mean, like, everyone has been talking about the release of this. It's been over 2 years. So
It's been much waited
Yeah.
for.
Yeah. I thought I'd be disappointed, but no, it's awesome to have it in hand finally.
I like it better than I did previously, before I had actually handled one. I like them more now.
So, for today's review, we are checking out a new offering from Spyderco, one of their brand new ones. It's being much anticipated, the Spyderco Smock! Surprise!
Guess what my opinion of it is?
You just said it, so
we might be reviewing Joe Smock.
Maybe.
Because these things are such a hot commodity right now that it's a good thing that he grabbed one, because if he didn't grab one, we wouldn't be reviewing this
Indeed.
particular one
Yep.
right now. So thanks
Flew off
to
the
Joe
shelf.
for liking this knife and pulling the trigger quicker than the rest of us. Like, it's,
Man,
For sure.
this came in, hadn't even hit the shelf yet. And I'm like, no, this is coming home with me.
Joe had like called the local shop a couple times asking, is it there yet? Because I will show up and just give you money, and then you can let me know when it's there. And they're like, no, it'll be here. You can play with one. You'll make sure you like it. And he was. He was super happy and grabbed one right away.
So at an overall length of 7.875 inches, it would take about 70 of these to be as tall as a Brachiosaurus.
I kind of want 70 of these so I can use them like disposable knives.
I want a Brachiosaurus.
I want to butcher a Brachiosaurus with 70 of these knives. Like, seriously.
Which one of our dreams is more reasonable, guys?
I got a barbecue ready to go after this recording. I want to cook some Brachiosaurus. Seriously.
Flintstone it up here.
Yeah, you bet. I don't need even a propane tank. Give me a fucking flint and some feather sticks. We're going to cook some Brachiosaurus tonight.
How many feather sticks does it take to cook a Brachiosaurus?
Enough.
That's not an answer.
Weighing in at 3.64 ounces, it would take about 50 of these to average the weight of an average house cat.
And both of those you can fit into an average-sized pillowcase.
Yeah.
Which one's more dangerous in a pillowcase?
It depends if these are open or closed.
Don't put them in the same pillowcase.
No, that's rude to
Don't
the
do
cat.
that.
Come on
Now,
now.
didn't we have an episode a couple episodes ago talking about a sack of something and PETA going after us? And all of a sudden,
And now you want to stick a cat in a pillowcase?
I'm not the one that wants to do it. He's the one that said it.
my
I was
question
thinking
is,
about, oh man, I was just thinking about yeah.
is that how many sacks of cats does it take to take down a Brachiosaurus?
50.
50 sacks of cats.
And why are the stats tonight even numbers? Seriously, 50, 70? Like, come on. Let's get some odd numbers in here. Does it take 71 just to finish the job? Like, come on.
Well, you need a sample size. Like on average, it might take 71, but who knows? We don't have access to that kind of data.
Maybe he kicks extra hard.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to chop a leg off. Maybe
Are
I
you
need
gonna
an
do
extra
that?
smock.
Are you gonna chop off a knife with that tiny, or chop off a leg with that tiny knife?
I trust
Well,
the strength of the compression lock.
I'm
on the
not-
button.
You can chop off a cat's leg.
A cat's leg. I thought we were talking about Brachiosaurus.
That too.
You're not timing me.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
I guess you. Okay.
PETA is already boycotting outside, guys.
We're eating meat after this. by the way.
Brachiosaurus are extinct. They can't petition against an extinct animal.
He said hurting a cat.
I'm not. No.
And so did he,
That's
like a
just
bad
a-
man.
I'm not-
That's just a sack of
No.
cats. We'll let them go afterwards. Jesus.
We're not stabbing them.
It's
They're just see if they fit into the case, and then we let them go.
conveniently fit into the sack for us to test on.
One of the main key features that has been intriguing many people, and especially Joe, because he has a thing for button locks,
I do.
Weirdly.
is this nice little button lock that they've rigged up, which is very similar to the compression locks that they do.
In fact, it is a compression lock.
Just-
In essence, that's engaged with a button rather than your thumb.
The best part about it is that it's a backwards compression lock.
For the two left-handed people that are standing at the table right now,
2 out of 4. That's a 50%.
yeah,
Just saying.
for the guys that are sitting here, and you guys decide to put a left-handed compression lock on a first button-activated knife, tickles the craw. It tickles the craw a little bit, for sure.
That might be part of the reason why I like it so much.
It's like, oh, that's cheesy.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
You make an awkward right-handed compression lock on every other knife on the market, except for a standard version of a PM2. You can't get a fancy version. You can't get a shaman. You can't get a little native with compression. All of a sudden, they're like, the only version you can get it in is a button lock.
Yep.
And I don't hate that. I got to be honest with you guys. As
The
much
button
as
lock
I
is
hate
nice.
on Spyderco for slagging a left-handed compression lock, I love what they've done with this knife.
Yeah,
for
as
sure.
far as ease of actuation of the lock, using the index finger as a lefty is not an issue at all.
No,
It's
which
still
is-
nice and simple and easy to use.
Which is so cool. Like, I mean, there's been a couple of button lock knives that I've handled over the last couple of years where I'm like, Dennis must hate this because like, what a crappy way to close a knife.
Now, one of the things I do like about the access lock is it's actually engaged.
Or the button lock.
Sorry, the button lock. Is it's
Don't make
actually,
Benchmade sue you.
it's engaged. Well, we're not going to talk about the knack lock.
No, we're not going to talk about that at all.
Maybe we will talk about the knack lock compared to a button-activated compression lock and their similarities, because apparently no other company wants to talk about that. But what I do like about it is the fact that the compression lock and the science behind a compression lock makes a lot of sense on strength itself.
Yes.
So I've always been a fan of the lock itself. Of being a lefty, they are an extremely awkward knife to disengage a right-handed compression lock.
Whereas this is quite easily just
ambidextrous as much as a before referred to Benchmade access lock, and as ambidextrous as they are, in my opinion.
and
for
easy
sure.
to do. Like not only is it possible, but it's comfortable.
Yeah.
And it's just super cool that way.
Not crazy contortions or anything like that to get to the lock, which is nice.
One of the other things I really, really like about this particular button lock is it's not based off of a plunger lock like every other button lock is. It's not.
I don't like the plunger.
It's not based off of the actual grind on the plunger and whether it actually activates the lock itself. It's a completely separate mechanism on the bar that engages it, which I truly believe is a stronger mechanism, for sure.
Me too.
They did something else kind of weird with this knife. We gotta talk about that weird flipper.
The flipper.
The best flipper out there.
It's my favorite.
It's great.
It's comfy to use.
It's trying to convert non-flipper people. This guy.
There's no pocket pecker
To
action.
maybe like a flipper. And honestly, if you're going to change your hand position to actuate a flipper, you might as well have one that doesn't protrude in your pocket.
Yeah.
So
Or inhibit cutting
you
when
bet.
it's sticking out the
Yes,
front side.
for sure.
Yeah.
Especially on a flat surface. If my table is the hand, there's most of the time the good
My
old
table is the hand.
yeah.
Ah, my finger.
Table.
Please don't.
Or vice versa. There's no flipper to get in the way of the flat cutting surface that the knife has itself, which I truly appreciate. Everybody gets one.
I've already had two.
No,
Someone else
I've
has
already
heard.
had two.
no one gets to bleed on my smock but me.
Okay.
That doesn't mean you can stab me.
That's exactly what it sounded like.
That kind of sounded like what it sounded like.
Well, this isn't gonna go over well, is it?
Don't worry about it.
For everybody else but you, yes, it's going to go just fine.
Thanks. I hate it. Spyderco's had a bit of a history of weirdness with ball bearings having
Flubbing
to
it?
Well, yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Not the case here. Beautiful.
They've had some terrible examples of ball bearings, honestly.
Yeah,
that's
they
true.
really have.
And yet they've come out with my favorite flipper on ball bearings. Like, holy crap, guys.
It is nice.
I still have to give credit, as much as we slag on CRKT as being an introductory company, their ball bearings were dialed in, and a lot of it had to do with the IKBS and the fact that they got a coma on their train, and Spyderco got their own system. I don't even know what it's called. Zero Tolerance got the KVT system. But, I mean, Spyderco, hopefully they can repeat what they've got here.
I think this is an indicator of good things.
I'm
Hopefully.
hoping.
Is this
Things to
them,
come.
though, or is this just a really good smock design that they're...
I'm hoping
following?
it's a sign of things to come. I really am.
I think this could be reiterated in other designs. But as it appears here, I'm super happy with it.
Because as of right now, honestly, the Dominoes, the Southards, the Positrons, there is a bunch of them on ball bearings.
Yeah, it was so lackluster.
They were lacking. So
Yeah.
I'm glad to see that the Smock has really stepped it up on smoothest straight out of the box.
How smooth that is.
I've
it's
seen
nice.
comments, even by Smock Knives himself, I've seen comments on, ooh, you have that really dialed in. No, Spyderco has that really dialed in.
Yeah.
And I think that's the big difference is it's not people needing, like, these are out of the box. These are awesome.
And regardless of how I'm opening this with my thumb from the front or my middle finger from the back or the flipper tab or even, well, of course, Spidey dropping, but I mean, it's all super
So smooth, dialed in.
No matter what.
And at first I thought I'd be worried about, oh, that's kind of a small Spidey hole as far as...
I was going to say the same thing.
Yeah, but honestly, no.
It's enough.
It takes a little get used to. I will say, with a
it's
lefty that's used to Spidey flicking things, because we have no other option, you definitely have to find it a little bit more than you do the average Spyderco when you're going to finger flick it.
The pure ambidextrous nature of the handle really helps, though. There's
Yeah.
no
Yes.
overlap like there would be with, say, a frame lock
No.
or a liner.
And no, like on the Sleece Bowie, the Spidey Chef, all of a sudden one side is covered from the frame lock, so you
That's what I
have to
mean,
Spidey
yeah.
flick it.
Yeah.
This one, it's open. You can find it every time once you get it dialed in, for sure.
Yeah, that having the lock on the scale like that really gets that out of the way and gives you the chance to have it be ambidextrous like that.
Yeah. Last but not least, on the pros.
I think it feels super fucking good in hand.
With the F-bomb halfway through,
Absolutely.
dropping that.
Hey, we're allowed one, PG-13.
And
He already dropped
honestly,
one.
because
Oh, okay.
of a lot of the way that our hands feel, the second finger for where the choil is sits really, really nice, and you can wrap it around and get a really good purchase on it. You can choke up into the finger choil if you want to, but I think the large majority of us agree on the ergonomics.
Have you tried it in that pinch grip that works so well for him?
Well, I pinch gripped a lot of stuff when I was carrying a mini barrage.
Pinch grip
Well,
helps.
no, but with the flats, I guarantee it's going to be nice because with the flats, you can get your thumb and your index finger very nicely, whether it's left or right-handed.
The thing that I find, though, is that finger right there is really comfortable in
Once
that
again,
position.
that
Yeah.
second finger sits really, really nice in a pinch grip. I got really used to a pinch grip, and then I got out of it for a while. But as soon as you show me the flats of
Flot.
the flats of a coffin style like handle, I know that I can get my finger into a really good positive grip with that.
That's it.
And it doesn't feel like a compromise. It actually feels intended and very nice to hold.
Which jumps into something that we need to comment on, obviously, for an XL hand.
The ergos on this thing
Are amazing.
horrible.
Amazing.
So
He
we're
meant amazing.
And by horrible, he means amazing. But he's got monster mitts.
I do.
So he still means horrible.
Yep. Because of the size of my
Monster
hands, if I'm up in that choil, which is slightly too small for my middle finger, I'm on the apex of that corner there, and it pushes me into that half choil, not choil, horrible thing there that I have already cut myself on, so I'm not even going to curl my index finger.
I was going to say,
You can just visualize how it doesn't fit.
what happened the first time you picked this knife up?
Instantly, I cut myself.
I was watching Nigel talk about how he's tempted to put his finger into that choil, and with an extra large hand, it would probably end up cutting himself. And as he was explaining how it would probably end up cutting himself, he cut himself.
Yep.
In that exact spot where he said he should not cut himself.
I was hoping you were going to say it was operator error, but
So, no, like
It's-
he knew it was coming.
Yep,
And
I
it
knew
was
it
like
was coming, and I could
slow-mo.
tell, and it's just, yeah.
Cartoon
Don't do it
animation
again.
of like, no.
Oh, wait, there's me cut myself.
And then Nigel cut himself.
let's make it a third time.
Let's not.
And then there was blood.
Yeah. And then if I'm trying to sit back with my index finger into that choil there, it puts it into that awkward 3.5 finger grip for me. And then I find that gap between where the finger is all the way up there. I find that really awkward.
How is a pinch grip for that hand? Because we haven't talked about you with a pinch grip for that particular knife. And not pinch grip with rolled over, like a true pinch grip where you've got your index finger on the end.
That's the only way I can hold it in a pinch grip. Like
if your index finger
Look at how long his finger is.
No, I
Yeah,
understand that. But if you grab my mini barrage, you
Yeah.
would be putting it into a pinch grip of like this blade shape or a chaparral even, like the
Yeah.
one that you've got, where you're putting it into that true grip. How is it hanging off the back of your hand?
For the back of the hand aspect, that's fine. I can't find a place for my finger, like my index finger, to go in that sort of pinch grip. I instantly start sliding over that front corner apex there again, and I automatically get into that curl.
Okay.
I can see it physically looks awkward for him.
Yeah.
If those had rounded, like actually contoured round scales, I think you would have less of a
Because
problem.
Paul pointed it
Possibly.
out, and as soon as I grabbed that, it actually contours. Like if you look at my index finger, that's
Yeah.
backwards. It contours around there, and it sits really nice. And then the thumb sits on the flat,
Yeah.
really good.
And yeah, I can get my thumb there, but I can't get
The
my
index
finger to go anywhere except
Okay.
up like that.
Okay.
And then I'm still kind of nervous about cutting.
I was just pointing it out tonight, so that's why I was
Yeah,
curious. And you had complained about the grip a couple different times, so I was curious on that grip because I hadn't seen you put it in that grip yet.
XL or double XL hands?
Probably double.
So anyone with double,
borderline between an XL to a double XL.
anyone with
For
that
sure.
size of hands, maybe if you really like the look of this knife, pick it up physically before you buy it. Just to be
definitely
sure.
test it out.
Yeah.
I was going to say the important thing there is that because there's so many different options for how to hold the knife, it does suit a lot of people. Not everybody, obviously, but
it's good to get that
it's a
sample
large
size
group.
in. Because
Exactly.
when I had seen this, like, well, that looks weird, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's bad. But it's bad for Nigel.
Yeah, exactly.
and
100%.
One of the big bad things, again, and something compared to a Crooked River that you love or any other knife, is the very locked-in finger choil.
Yep.
Yes.
And as soon as you have a locked-in finger choil, it's telling you what grip to put it in.
Yeah.
So it's telling you the size of hand that it's comfortable with.
Yep.
Your Crooked River has
not
a very
this.
flowing, like symmetrical, anything like that type of, where it gives you the adjustment.
Yeah.
This is telling you where to put your hand, and you either like what it's telling you or you don't like what it's telling you.
And even just to throw this guy out as an example that does have a really nice finger choil, it's super comfy like that. If I do pop back, it makes it into a comfy 3-finger for me. I don't get caught up. But I don't find, on this knife especially, I don't find that space awkward. And I still feel like I have control of the blade.
It's a greater distance, I think.
Yeah, whereas with this guy, because of how that space is, I feel I get a loss of control. Yeah.
So for me, I have to point out psychologically, is it how deep this choil goes?
I don't know.
Because we had talked about it, and I don't have it on hand, but I have my gunny sidekick.
Oh.
And a lot of people have commented on the choil that's not really a choil and how deep it is.
It's a sharpening choil.
And it's a very polarizing thing. And I think ultimately this choil is the polarizing, do you like this blade, do you not like this blade? I think it comes down to
the
here.
shape of the choil.
This right here. No, this little half-inch gap. This little...
Yep, that section right through there.
And like he was saying, the gunny sidekick, and now that we've got it on hand, you can see.
Yeah, and for me, this one's still narrow enough that I'm not tempted, but I can see people with skinnier fingers might be tempted for it.
But I do believe that this right here is the reason that people love or hate this knife.
Very
in
much so.
particular.
What makes it so polarizing?
Yeah, and just like the gunny sidekick, this right here is why people love or hate this knife. You have to look at that cutting edge, that sharpening choil, that finger choil, if it is a finger choil, and what you can do with it.
And if it's a finger choil for you, or if it's
and
not.
whether it disconnects you from the blade and the relation to the blade, or whether you still feel connected, especially to the blade itself as well as the tip of the blade. And I understand that disconnected feeling where you pick up some knives and you don't feel comfortable about where the edge is, where the point of the knife is, any sort of variable.
Yeah.
Whereas vice versa from that, when you pick up certain knives, you're like, I know where every part of this knife is, and I'm ready to do some serious business.
Indexing.
Yeah.
It's a
And
thing.
I attribute Nigel to having that hard time with this knife because of that, right?
And yeah, like how Dennis was mentioning that sense of the disconnect and the loss of control. When I'm back in this position, it's almost, especially if I'm wanting to use the tip, it's almost like I'm trying to change the channels on the TV with a broomstick from the couch.
Yeah. That's a good way to describe it.
Yeah.
As well as we will point it out now, the choil itself compared to the custom.
Yeah.
And I think we should notice that while we're on that figure. If we do bring up a picture of the custom, which we will blurb up, it's very much a finger choil
Yes.
rather than a notch to make way for your knack lock. Sorry, I didn't call it that. I don't know what you're talking about. Your compression lock with
Throwing
a button.
shade.
I totally am throwing shade because I want those two companies to hatch it out because of this shit right here. But
Watch, it'll get discontinued next year.
that's just because
go.
I like playing devil's advocate. Hey, it'll be like the Sleesh, man. People will be asking $600 for your
Oh, they can go
Smock.
right. They can go right to hell. That's my knife. I've been waiting for that knife.
All right, I think on that note,
Terrible,
Awful.
but I appreciate it.
I don't know how to grade this.
Oh no, we're not.
No, this is my very personal, very weird. If everyone who owns a smock travels their finger up and down the spine of this knife,
Travel your finger.
yeah,
up and down
just like I'm doing right now. Let's zoom it in, just so you know, just so that you know what I'm doing. When you flip this knife, there is some chamfering or lack thereof on the back of this knife that when you flip it, I definitely feel. I feel the ridges inside.
I think you have
the
a
lines.
delicate finger because you're not a flipper user.
I have to say,
And you've got soft, tender fingers like a pianist.
The liners are pretty crisp.
If you can,
they are.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say that this is probably a critique of the Taiwan Taichung factory-made knives from Spyderco
In general.
as opposed to Spyderco Smock in particular.
I truly believe that I'm the only one that's ever complained about this so far.
On this
I gotta
knife.
be honest, honestly,
On
I
this.
don't give a shit.
No one has seen it. No
I don't
one
find
has
it sharp.
cared.
If I feel for it and like actually push in, I notice it, but just normal using it and normal flipping the knife, I don't notice.
And honestly, when I gave this knife outstanding reviews, but as soon as I got it in my hand and I flipped it open the first time, and I felt how sharp the inside of those liners are,
I'm
whether
trying
it's,
to cut myself on
whether
it
it's
right
my
now.
girly finger, oh, you won't cut yourself.
No, I know.
It's just noticeable, and it's
But
weird.
that being said, yeah, you can definitely notice the.
But I was digging in hard.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so
So,
there's this weird, like, I will take 200 grit sandpaper and I will knock the inside edges of those liners down. So it can be the first flipper that I enjoy, as well as the first compression lock that I ever own. And I will own this knife. It's coming home with
It's
me.
going to be a
I
left-handed
guarantee.
compression lock. You're waiting for a left-handed
It's
one.
already a
it's
left-handed
such an easy
compression
fix
lock.
Exactly.
for that type of issue. Easy fix.
Easy fix for that. But no one else has noticed, like, how rigid.
And yes, it is an easy fix, but it's still something that kind of needs fixing.
Does it bother
Does
you
it actually
that the hole is chamfered but the spine's not? Because the hole is chamfered on that knife.
I didn't know the hole was chamfered until you pointed it out before recording tonight, and I can see it from here. I can see
Yeah,
the
you can
visible shine and
Yep.
reflection from the hole being chamfered. And I truly believe that's from Taichung being knocked and Spyderco going, hey, take a 0.3 millimeter
Not even.
off of. It's so minor on the hole. But no one ever along the way on any forum ever has said, hey, the inside of those liners are sharp when I flick a knife, because I'm a dick. Like,
Well, hold on. How many Spyderco flipper tab knives have been around that came out of Taichung?
so, Mantras.
No. But I remember a lot of those.
Positrons, Southerns.
No. But that was a full carbon fiber frame. I'm talking about stuff that would have steel liners. I'm wondering if has that been an issue before that somebody would have noticed, because
I don't know.
stuff like this, yeah, there's crisp internal edges, but like you were saying earlier, I'm not flicking that knife.
And because Spyderco's just starting to get the flipper game dialed in, it might be something along the way that they're like,
Hasn't
God
come
damn,
up yet.
we got to chamfer liners to make these sons of bitches happy. And sons of bitches, I mean me. Like, for sure.
This
'Cause
bitch.
I'm not a flipper guy, and the first thing I noticed handling this knife was
Toughen
that.
up your finger.
Yeah.
Toughen it up.
Get it to be on more aggressive surfaces, apparently, and then I
Yeah.
won't care about that. Yeah. And by that I mean finger guitar playing and body shop with red hot whatever hasn't been enough to dull those nerve endings.
Well,
It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while since you've been playing those games. So.
True story.
Yeah.
True story.
Yeah.
But anyway, I guess we'll go into the last section here. Let's
we
call it
should.
what it is.
One more very brief thing before we cut out. The pocket
Yeah,
clip
that's what I was going to
Oh,
mention.
okay.
kind of a high carry.
Mhm.
High
So-
carry and wide.
I think this is a universal negative on
Pop
all
up
of
here,
our-
Bradley, there again,
Yeah.
just for comparison.
So this is much better done with the same profile of grip. Oh, by the way,
Um,
that clip is too tall. That's a separate issue, but
There's
because
a
you're
piece of
looking
paper
at
that
it.
It bothers me.
pant leg if you need it to be.
You're a
Oh, I
pant
was
leg.
thinking if you
Oh,
read
okay.
it inside the clip, you could
Yeah.
see.
Oh, here.
Yeah.
Show you.
So the big thing for the negative on
Just
the
to
Gail
show.
Bradley.
Just for easy illustration.
The shadow you can see.
Well, no,
and even a zoom in on that, just to explain.
I mean, that's kind of high too. The Gale's almost as high. Wow.
But when you're looking at it from me, just to get even the Gale Bradley out of the way and just call Smock what it is, let's go up to where the blade actually is protruding out of your pocket. And if you look at the piece of paper, there's a lot of knife. There's a good half inch to 3/4 of an inch of blade, not even handle, blade itself that is protruding out of the top of your pocket.
Now, this isn't something that's probably going to be an issue if you're carrying it in your right-hand pocket, let's say, as it is currently set up. It's not likely that you'll ever cut yourself on it, but it is odd, and it's not exactly confidence-inspiring for whatever reason.
Well, and compared to every other design out on the market, when you look at it, when you put a knife in your clip, chances are the top of the blade isn't exposed to the elements nearly as much as the knife that we're demonstrating tonight is.
It's a quite a high carry.
When I put it in my pocket, though, I found it very comfortable to grab and get out of my pocket.
Yeah, no problem. Ergonomically, in the pocket, I actually like it quite a bit. It doesn't have the weird hump that most Spydercos do in the pocket. But what I notice is how much blade is poking out of your pocket compared to something that really should have a deep carry clip.
Yes, throwing an aftermarket deep carry would definitely be something.
Ultimately, what we're saying in the first place is Spyderco, you should have made this with a deep carry clip in the first place.
Clip. This would have been the perfect knife to use with
a wire clip. Would have been phenomenal.
Holy crap.
On this knife. Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been awesome.
And left or right, it would have made it just as easy for sure. So, all right, now that we've gotten that out of the way, last but not least, I guess we'll grade it.
Yeah.
I'll go first. It's my knife.
Sure.
As you could probably guess, I gave this an extremely favorable A-. Literally, probably my favorite knife, my favorite folding knife right now. Even though I like M390 more than I like S30V. Even though I would prefer a deeper pocket clip, this knife does so many things right. It tickles my fancy in just the right way, and I freaking love it.
It was this hand motion that we didn't need.
So, having said that, favorite pocket knife on the market right now is still an A-, not an A+. So that tells you how harsh we are with our grading systems. I hope that everyone realizes how critical we're being with this new grading system and how honest we're trying to be with you guys and with ourselves.
I acknowledge
nothing's 100%.
Yeah, and I mean, I acknowledge there are issues. I mean, I gave in ergonomic execution, I only graded it a 7 out of 10, for instance, because for me, yes, and for a lot of guys, this is great. But I know that there are people out there who can't hold this knife comfortably.
And with this flat and this choil and this finger groove, it does. You need to find the right position to hold this knife in, for sure.
Even if it fits your hand comfortably, it may not be your preferred grip. It may be that this knife just feels too freaking weird. It is different. I like it because it's different, and my enthusiasm was a 10 because of it. Like this, I was so excited for this knife to come out, and I wasn't disappointed. And that rarely happens with a knife, where I'm like, ah, shit. I'm very happy with this knife overall.
I'll go next. I gave it a good solid B. I gave it an 80, which is right in the middle of the Bs. It's not a B+. It's not a B-. It's a good solid B. The ergonomic execution, I actually gave it, I believe, a 8 for that, so slightly higher than what you actually gave it. But I gave pocket ergonomics actually a 7 because of the point where we talked about how high up it sits in the pocket. How high the blade protrudes was a little bit weird.
See, that's funny. I gave it an 8 for pocket ergonomics.
Definitely the opposite. Yeah, for sure.
That's funny.
My lowest scoring thing was actually a cost versus material. For the 220 to 250 Canadian price point that you're going to find it on the market. Peel ply carbon fiber and S30V, not real carbon fiber.
I understand that, and now may be a good time to kind of blurb in the disassembly photo that I took, but a lot of the cost went into the machining for the stop pin, the track for the ball.
The double detents, the spring for the detents.
Yeah.
I got good photos of that. You guys will see it rather clearly. I can accept the difference in, like, if that was 20 CV, holy crap.
And that's why I put it into my personal materials category and not the materials versus the cost. Is I didn't rank it bad there. It was my personal was the one that was like, you know what? S30 fake carbon fiber. I've seen it done. I've seen it done a million times. I like what it is, but I don't know if it's a 250 price point. On the high end of that, the enthusiasm, again, I gave a 10 as well. I'm super excited about this knife coming out. With a button lock that's compression lefty friendly.
It's so cool.
I've been waiting for a compression lock that doesn't hate lefties because I like the way the mechanism works. I like the science behind the mechanism.
Without having to pay extra for it.
Without having to pay extra for a left-handed para, and I don't know why that's a thing, but it's a weird thing that is.
Yep.
It's because you're wrong. You should be punished for it.
Yeah.
So now I get a compression lock, and the science and strength behind a compression lock that's not lefty biased. So that got a good ranking for me, for sure. So I think, Paul,
you want to go me? All right.
Let's go with the fluctuation because we're the 80s boys.
Since we were just talking about how we were being so objective and everything else, I'm going to throw out my scores and the fact that I gave this knife an 88, which is an A.
Holy.
I liked this knife a lot. To be completely fair, originally when I was first looking at it on the market before it came out, my enthusiasm was probably somewhere around like a 7, maybe an 8. And then I got it in hand. And my enthusiasm went absolutely through the roof and bumped up my score to a 10. I really, really like it. The action on it, just the snappiness of it, the fact that from no matter which way that you flip this knife, whether it's the flipper, thumb hole, Spidey flick, whatever it is, the knife just opens.
It's nice and smooth.
It's just fantastic.
Second detent was such an excellent choice.
Right? The only thing that I really lost points on was ergonomic preference. And that's because there's a lot of different positions on this knife that a lot of people aren't going to find comfortable. You will probably find, 3 out of 4 times you'll find a comfortable position, but it's not going to be for everybody. So I kind of knocked a few points off for that. Although, if you have a hand like this,
Carney.
It doesn't matter what knife, evidently. They all fit.
Honestly, minus XL. I think everyone will agree that this is a comfy knife to play with.
Yeah,
for sure.
And other than that, it was a little bit of a knock for the cost versus fit and finish, which I didn't see those photos beforehand, so that might actually change my opinion. But it would have been nice to see, because it is a Spyderco knife, and Spyderco does like to throw out random weird steels and stuff like that. It would have been cool to see something like this with a random steel.
A little higher.
Yeah.
If they come out with a Sprint with anything better than S30, I will be buying it, and I'll be hating myself, but I'll be having another Smock, so it'll be okay.
Yeah. Dual wield.
I know it's not much of an upgrade, but XHP would have been a beautiful thing to see in this knife.
Just for a fun change.
And a similar price point as well, for sure.
And then for my grading,
The hater.
I'm not going to be the only one besides Joseph to drop an F-bomb this video.
Sorry.
I actually gave it an F.
I'm pretty sure all the screens should go red right now.
Fatality was wasted.
Yeah, just a wasted GIF.
I like the wasted ones,
It scored pretty good at the objective side of things because, that plunge lock for the button release, left-handed compression thing is awesome.
Well made, right?
Yeah, it's well made. The actuation, the flipper, it's super, super fun.
Cutting ability, thickness behind the edge, thickness of the stock. It worked out to be a well-designed knife.
Yes, very much so.
The outliers.
Just not well designed for these bloody hands.
And I can understand that, especially seeing in your hand in comparison to the size of the knife.
Yeah. And even for the enthusiasm, I gave it a 3 because as soon as I saw pictures of this guy and saw that section there, I was 99% sure that that was the issue I was going to have, and then I got it in my hand and cut myself instantly.
It's a brutal rating, but I think it's fair given what cards
what I'm
dealt.
dealing with.
So Nigel, when this knife first came out, Nigel was like, "I'm not going to like this knife. I'm not going to like the finger control. I don't like where it sits, and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Screw you, man! Play with it first. You don't know until you play with it." I played with it before Nigel did, and as soon as I played with it, I'm like, Nigel's not going to like this knife. It was blatantly obvious that what he had seen on this lack of finger choil that's trying to be a finger choil rang true as in person as much as it did in the images that he saw.
Yep.
So,
and I was given it enough leeway that I wasn't decided until I got it in my hand, but I was pretty confident that that's the way my decision would go, and that's the way it went.
And Nigel didn't even need to get it in his hand. I got it in my hand, and I'm like, no.
Nope.
What Nigel is saying, he is 100% true. He is not going to like this knife. As long as I've known Nigel, I will know that what he is saying is 100% accurate for this
Yep.
knife. Like, it's, yeah.
So unfortunately, if you've got XL, double XL hands, you
If you've got sausage fingers, yeah, it's
you might not like it.
Probably not for you.
One other super minor note that I will point out before we close after the grading system. When you're left-handed, the button itself, I don't know how you would do it, but there is a very, very small chance you might actually hit it with your index finger. But again, with a normal lock, you're cutting backwards. You're not stabbing
Yep.
things with a reverse tanto.
and I have had that concern about being able to hit the button, but with the inability for me to be able to put it in a position where I could cut with it, I haven't found that I could hit the button, so I don't know.
I did some brief playing around. Like, again, I'm not left-handed, but in the same sort of grip I would hold in my right hand, I'd have to be trying.
You bet. Yeah.
Really, like, I'd have to be twisting with the knife or doing something I shouldn't be doing.
So as ambidextrous as it is, I still do not believe that it's as ambidextrous as an access lock is.
Yes.
Because
No.
of the actuation on it. But it's the best thing Spyderco's offered, especially in a compression lock form, as of 2019 right now.
Indeed, indeed.
I can agree to
If
that.
fully ambidextrous backlocks.
Screw you, hippie.
One-handed closing says
And that's a good way to end that video.
That being said, Nigel the Smith, signing off.
I am who I always am. I'm Dennis Pipers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm XL.ca.
We will catch you again next time.
We don't need bigger knife. Yeah.